are riding the highest motorable road in the world with Beaux Adventures. Welcome to the mighty Himalayas.
Beaux Adventure is an experience. What we offer is adventure riding at its best. We got the premium bikes, great routes, majestic landscapes, and fantastic culture.
We start our trip almost from sea level and end up on the highest motorable road.
You can't compare this with any other trip. I've been to Europe and all that stuff. It's nice. This is completely a different ball game.
The Himalayas were born millions of years ago when two continental plates crashed to each other. And even today, the Himalayas are growing around 1 centimeter every year. Here is just one example of the scenes that we see here in the Himalayas. First we got the snowy mountains, then we got a sand canyon with some weird clay formations, and then an endless plateau of green.
Here, I'm seeing greenery here at 9,000 feet, which I didn't even dream of.
I've seen so many sand dunes on sea level, but never on 3,000 meters.
Here we have even more proof that Himalaya was once below sea level. Here is a fossil of a seashell. And here we have our local seashell finder. She sells them for less than $1. So searching this stuff all over this place, I think she has earned every cent in that dollar. For the last 3 years I searched the internet of a different bike than a Royal Enfield to embark on a Himalaya journey.
If you look at the motorcycles currently available in India, except Beaux Adventures, everyone else offers Royal Enfields. It is an enjoyable motorcycle, but it's nowhere close to the comfort, the convenience, the power, and the ergonomics of Tiger 800.
The best part about this journey is to have a real adventure bike with proper suspension. Unlike the old classics, well, the only suspension is your spine.
Especially people who come here from Europe, from the US, from any other part of the world where they have experience with these kind of motorcycles, they will feel right at home. For this tour, I think first and foremost, a person needs to have some sort of off-road skill. I think more than beginner, probably intermediate, to handle gravel, sand, and loose rocks. At times you have to cross riverbeds, water crossings.
Even when you ride as a group, you still have distances and you're on your own. You make your own decisions and you're responsible for it.
So there is no speed cameras or police waiting for you around the corner. But there are 500-meter falls and Indian buses coming through from the blind corners. So you gotta be careful. Here in 3,500 meters altitude, we have the Nako village, and these are the houses and how the people live. It's pretty much like traveling back in time.
Nako was, I think, the first contact with Tibetan people. You can feel that vibe, the change from that point, the cultural landscape changed.
This is the Tibetan prayer wheel. The locals spin the wheel, and then the prayer will reach the sky. At this height, there is not much trees growing, so there's always a lack of firewood. That's why animal feces won't be thrown away. Instead, they're dried and used as a kindle and firewood.
I joined this trip as a pillion rider. I have been riding with my husband for the last 2.5 years already. We did a lot of off-road, which is definitely required for this journey.
Fortunately, in this trip, I have my wife and son.
The pillion needs to be at a similar level of understanding as the rider and needs to have a desire to experience the same landscape, the same terrain on two wheels.
Here we are exploring the local fauna in the side of the road. Okay, here's a plant. I've seen it somewhere before on a t-shirt or somewhere. We are now at the highest point of the road that goes through Spiti Valley. Every time when you're riding the high points of Himalayas, you will see these colored flags. These flags are filled with prayers, which wind then will take up to God.
So one concern that you might have is being in India that the food might be spicy. That's something you don't have to worry about.
Here we are in typical lunch point where it is a bread, roti, and then we're having steamed rice with dal, which is basically a sauce. And you don't have to have it very spicy, so also softies like me can eat it.
It's amazing food.
We have just ridden from 3,500 meters to 4,500 meters only in 30 kilometers. And here we find a village named Komik, which is the highest inhabited village in whole Asia.
It is one of the highest villages in the world. It's remarkable to see people live at that altitude. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, why do they even live there? But they have their reasons.
But I cannot imagine how the winter is in 4,500 meters. But these guys have been doing it over 1,000 years.
Huge respect for those people, for Tibetans, huge respect.
Today we are crossing 3 high mountain passes, and now we are at Baralachala. Obviously, before we reach the highest motorable road, we will pass the second highest motorable road in the world. And this is the Khardungla Pass in 5,300 meters.
So for those concerned about altitude sickness, there is medication available here. It's a tablet called Diamox, which it is locally available over the counter. And if you really are concerned about it, you can start having one tablet the day you start your ride.
But the most important thing to avoid altitude sickness is to drink plenty of water. So Camelback or some sort of other hydration device is a mandatory. We are now in the middle of desert oasis. Now I don't know how the sand dunes got here up to 3,000 meters, but these camels came from Mongolia through Silk Road. Here we have the indigenous people of Himalayas, the nomads. They survive here by cattling goats and yachts. You must be the chieftain of the tribe. How are you? It was a real privilege to see a glimpse of that nomadic lifestyle. See how the old lady makes the rock, the small kids playing, and the chieftain explaining me how they survive the winter.
You see them live a very basic, a very simple life, and that humbles you.
I admire that somebody lived so remotely and at such a high altitude and they survived. They need so little. Look at us. What do we need to survive the day in the West? Makes you think.
It has been a long journey, but we are finally here. The highest motorable road in the world, Khardungla, at 5,600 meters. This road is open only 4 months a year, and it is higher than the Everest base camps. It is also higher than most unpressurized planes can fly, so everybody can feel the lack of oxygen in the air.
It was hard, man.
I'm very happy, proud to do with my son. One day I hope he does it on his own.
Very cold, but it feels great because it's like an achievement, a very, very big achievement.
Khardungla used to be a major caravan route where 10,000 horses and camels passed it annually. Today, it's the Mecca and the summit for all motorcycle travelers.
So I'm kind of looking forward for the next trip, where instead of my dad taking me with him, I take my dad as a pillion and I bike all the way up with here.
I'm happy to ride with my son, and what my son says is one day he will have me as his pillion, which is good.
So if you're planning a week-long or a 10-day-long trip in the Himalayas, I think it's best to go with Beaux Adventures because they not only offer the best motorcycles in India right now, they also take care of accommodation, fuel, and the lunch points and any other paperwork that you have to do across on the trip, so that all you are focused on is riding.
I would also recommend this tour for cultural enhancement because I think people have possibly a wrong idea of India. So unless you come here and meet the people and see how they live and experience their lifestyle, you won't be able to understand how beautiful, how rich this place culturally is.
It's a life-changing experience, and it is a must for every motorcycle adventure rider.
So you want to switch off, be with the nature, this is the place.
If you want to enjoy the Himalayas with premium adventure bikes, go onto our website, drop us a mail, and we'll take care of the rest.
From 1 to 10, absolute 10, I would give them.
If you could do just one adventure ride in your life, this has to be the one.
As we always say at Beaux Adventure, one life, one chance, ride the world.